Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the tourism minister defends the change in travel protocol amid claims by some that it appears discriminatory. House Speaker Halson Moultrie turns in the keys to his office just as he warned. Plus, a man who escaped custody at the detention center taken to court.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joachim. Top of news tonight, the mandatory 14-day quarantine for inter-island travel for those departing from islands like New Providence will be discontinued November 8th, according to the latest emergency orders released today. This comes as the government's new set of travel protocols have been called discriminatory by some. Well, Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar says while it may appear that way, one must weigh all the options.
Yes, that some might argue this is to a certain degree this is mildly discriminatory, but we feel that the benefit derived by getting Bahamians back to work and hotels open far outweighs that issue.
De Aguilar says he understands the argument some may have when it comes to the treatment of visitors and whether the new travel protocol put in place could appear a bit discriminatory, particularly when it comes to a hotel's ability to apply for exemption to keep their beaches open during weekend lockdowns when public beaches are closed. However, the tourism minister says one really has to look at what's at stake. When asked if he thinks it's discriminatory, De Aguilar said not really, and here's why.
It's certainly different. I mean, we're obviously having, well, not really, because if you're a Bahamian and you want to go to a hotel, you've had your PCR test, and you want to go to the beach, you can do that.
De Aguilar said it was actually the hotel operators who pushed for government to understand that its tourism plan would not work without giving their guests the opportunity to go to the beach.
What we're attempting to do is to create some stability in the market for the hotels. So if the hotels feel that you're going to shut the beach, then they're never going to open. And we're never going to get people back to work.
According to the new emergency orders released just moments before our interview, the 14-day quarantine for domestic travel will fall away on November 8th. But in the meantime, those coming from abroad but seeking to go to another island through Nassau can avoid that 2-week quarantine if they leave the capital within a day.
We allow you to overnight, make one night in Nassau, and then you have to move on. Now, if you spend 2 nights in Nassau, then that breaks the chain of the international travel. Testing
upon arrival in country is no longer required. Instead, one must take a rapid antigen test on day 5, for which the cost is already covered in the travel health visa. Failure to do so will result in the person being liable to a fine of $1,000, according to emergency orders.
50% of our economy is tourism. We can't get away from that. 2 out of every 3 Bahamians are employed in the tourism sector. We have got to get this sector operationalized as soon as possible so that Bahamians can get to work as quickly as possible.
Well, 2023 is the year pegged by central bank officials for the full recovery of the country's #1 industry. Central Bank Governor John Rowles said delayed resumption of the tourism industry continues to significantly deprive the economy of cash flow and jobs. Here's Jasmine Brown.
The central bank governor was frank during his comments as he outlined the economic outlook for the country amid the COVID-19 pandemic. He said the spread of the virus, which has obliterated the tourism industry, continues to have a significantly negative impact on the Bahamian economy. Rowles said with the peak winter tourism season approaching and the recovery further behind than expected, it is now projected that the economy will experience lower inflows in 2021 than were forecasted in the earlier months of the pandemic.
It was always anticipated that when tourism reopened, seasonal activity would be a diminished fraction of the occupancy rates normally enjoyed, and that thereafter the gradual strengthening of business might span more than 24 months. This would place the expected full recovery of tourism at some point in 2023.
On October 1st, the Ministry of Tourism announced that the tourism sector will reopen on November 1st. The first reopening, which took place on July 1st, was followed by a spike in COVID-19 cases on Grand Bahama and New Providence. Rowles says the more delays, the longer it will take for economic recovery.
Shift the dates for restart, then you're also shifting the entire timeline in terms of how we climb out of the low point in the industry.
As it relates to the domestic economy, Rolls said even if businesses were allowed to reopen, the fact of the matter is people have to be employed to make money and spend money. He pointed to the fact that thousands of hotel employees are still out of work.
The ability to spend in this economy is automatically constrained if the full strength of the tourism recovery is not there. So it is not going to be the case that a full opening up of the economy suddenly means that we're spending on imports at the levels that we would ordinarily do. We won't be at that capacity until we're all earning income.
Rolls said while the delayed resumption of tourism has significantly deprived the economy of private sector foreign exchange inflows and employment, the construction and foreign investment projects are providing impulses. Though the economy could experience moderate growth in 2021, he cautioned it would only be in comparison to the very restrained outcome of 2020. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
It's day 2 of the government's new travel protocol, and while some say the process is smooth, others are questioning why Bahamians must pay the same $40 travel visa fee as tourists. Jillian Gray has more.
It's hard to keep up with travel protocols, according to one Bahamian resident who said she can't understand why travel procedures keep changing. The woman who wanted to remain anonymous says paying $40 for a health visa on top of paying for a COVID-19 test is a lot.
Like I said, there was a lady in the airport crying. She couldn't pay for it. You got to scan your documents, the COVID test submitted, and then go online. I don't know, it's a bunch of headaches.
While a health visa has been required for the last 4 months, Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar announced over the weekend that the document will now come at a cost of $40. This JetBlue passenger said she didn't know she needed one, and the process to get that travel visa is exhausting.
It was extremely, and then because I didn't have it printed out, it was in my phone. So when I reached to the gate now, they didn't want me to go on. Accepted from your phone? No.
Some have questioned why Bahamians have to pay for the visa when they will not receive the same insurance and per diem benefit that tourists will get when they purchase a visa. Nonetheless, both Bahamians and tourists alike called the process tedious.
If your internet connection isn't strong, you are going to be upset because you get through that long process, and then imagine I'm doing that for myself and I'm bringing my 2 children, so that's times 3.
Because it's asking the same things over and over and over again, and when you do it on your phone, it is not as good as maybe you can do on a computer, but not everybody has access to a computer.
Health card took me like 24 hours to get there because I had some troubles, like it was a technical issue with the website.
Mexico resident Muro Chan is in the Bahamas for a week to visit his girlfriend. He said he has planned to follow the protocols no matter what they are and is not concerned about the Bahamas' rising COVID-19 numbers.
Rising everywhere. It's not only here. Everybody takes different measurements. It's about the people who can follow or not. Our governments can take good decisions, but it depends on all the people.
Behavior here is going to be the same as it was at home in Atlanta. It's far worse there. And we're homebodies. We've been locked down since March. I really don't even know what's going on the corner of my home because my husband does the grocery shopping. I do the sanitation.
Florida resident Kevin Karnick flew in to relax in his second home for 10 days. He said he feels the government is doing a great job compared to other countries.
It was pretty simple, actually, compared to last month when you have to put the hubcap app on and everything. So it was pretty seamless today.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Well, hotels can apply for permission to bypass beach closures announced by the competent authority, allowing their guests to enjoy the country's beaches while ordinary Bahamians are banned. As Jared Hicks tells us, this announcement is rubbing some locals the wrong way.
Now, after being closed again for weeks, beaches on New Providence were opened again on Monday morning. Now, one of the more controversial announcements coming from Minister de Aguilar on Saturday is that hotels will be allowed to apply for permission to keep their beaches open, even if parks and beaches on New Providence are closed again. That's not really sitting right with some Bahamians.
Hotels that are adjacent to or connected to beaches will now be able to apply to the competent authority for an exemption to any restrictions to beach access that may be in place.
This announcement isn't sitting well with some Bahamians.
It's unfair because, look, we live here, and to say they have access and we don't, no, that's not right.
Beaches were closed for nearly a month after a rise in COVID-19 cases led to tighter restrictions on New Providence and Abaco. Monday's beach opening comes to the relief of many, but an announcement that hotels can apply to the competent authority to allow their guests to still use the beach, even during closures, is making waves for all the wrong reasons.
To Bahamians, it would be unfair, so, because this is where we live. We'd want to have access to our own beaches and pools, so.
I would feel happy for the tourists that are able to enjoy the amenities.
Over the last 7 months, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, in his capacity as the competent authority, has ordered the closure of beaches and parks amid a spike in COVID-19 cases in the Bahamas. However, he has not released data indicating a connection between beaches and increased COVID cases. Sandra Major, a mother and grandmother of 2, says she can understand the beach closures, but not tourists being allowed on the beach while Bahamians are locked down.
No, it's just not for tourists. God made it for all of us, you know.
Sunday marked government's second attempt at reopening the tourism industry, and third time parks and beaches were reopened. The removal of the mandatory 2-week quarantine for new arrivals to the country is meant to help people like Jamal Humes, who's temporarily out of work. For him, going to the beach is a distraction from the chaos.
Get in shape, talk to the Lord, or do whatever you want to do in your best behavior, your best activity. So.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
More news on the way, but here's a first look at weather with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather, brought to you by Bahamas First. What's first for you comes first for us. Outside our studios, breezy conditions, temperatures in the low 80s, winds out of the northeast at 13 knots, cloudy conditions. We have some passing showers, and we'll continue to see those showers this evening as the evening goes on. Satellite view, very strong cold front moving into the northwest and central Bahamas as we speak. Showers and isolated thunderstorms associated with that system. Strong high pressure will be building behind that system overnight. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, a Haitian national sentenced to prison time after escaping from the detention center. Plus, the House Speaker turns in his office keys. Stay tuned.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
A man who escaped from the Carmichael Road Detention Center last month was arraigned in the magistrate's court today. 31-year-old Jack Gerland was sentenced to 6 months in prison and subsequent deportation after he pleaded guilty to escape from lawful custody. He was found in an upstairs apartment in Pinewood Gardens last week. His 62-year-old mother, Rosita Gerland, and sister, Unia Gerland, who lived in the downstairs apartment, were arrested along with 33-year-old Leroy Davis and 28-year-old Jawan Cardosa, who lived in the upstairs apartment. The other 4 were charged with harboring a criminal. Gerland's mother and sister pleaded guilty and were fined $500. Davis and Cardosa entered not guilty pleas and were remanded until December 4th. Meanwhile, a 17-year-old of Lily of the Valley Corner was charged along with 39-year-old Antonio Genor and 48-year-old David Griffin in connection with a string of armed robberies, including a daytime robbery that resulted in a high-speed chase with police last week. The men were accused of robbing JCF Supermarket of over $2,000. Leon Fung Food Store of $800 and $200 worth of Palm cigarettes, and Paradale Supermarket of $435. They were not required to enter a plea and were remanded until December 7th. In other news, House Speaker Halson Moutry has turned in the keys to his Parliament Street office. It comes 2 weeks after he sent a warning in Parliament that he could do so if his concerns over a leaky roof, kitchen with no running water, shared bathroom, and mold were not addressed by the government.
So as of Friday, at the close of business on Friday, I made a determination that the Speaker's office in the Bay Pile building was unfit for habitation. And I turned in the keys as a consequence. I packed all my personal belongings out of that office, and I will not be returning to that office so long as it remains in that condition.
Moutry says he has received word from the Minister of Public Works that his concerns would be addressed and renovations to the ground floor of the Senate building would be completed. However, he says he had these concerns since 2017, but nothing has been done. He stressed this in no way means that he has resigned.
I thought I made that pretty clear when I spoke in the House of Assembly that I had no intention of resigning as Speaker. But at the same time, I had absolutely no intention of occupying a building and an office space that I believe is completely and totally unsuitable for anyone to occupy, much less the head of the legislative branch of government.
Still to come, Atlantis Resort's bubble plans revealed. Stay tuned.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
Brookfield Asset Management has confirmed that Atlantis Paradise Island will welcome back guests on December 1st. CEO Bruce Flatt's confirmation comes 2 weeks after a leaked letter revealed the first phase of reopening would see Atlantis operate under a new environment-controlled regime called a bubble. Jasmine Brown has more.
In a recent interview with American media company Bloomberg, the Brookfield Asset Management CEO said since Atlantis Paradise Island closed its doors more than 6 months ago, executives have been trying to find ways to safely reopen the resort. He explained that they decided on the bubble format only after deep discussions with the Minnis administration.
We own the Atlantis in Bahamas, and it closed. It's 4,000 rooms.
On Paradise Island.
On Paradise Island. It has its own island, and we've now negotiated with the government of Bahamas to have a bubble.
It was revealed 2 weeks ago that Atlantis will begin its phased reopening before the end of the year. In a letter to staff, Atlantis President and Managing Director Audrey Oswell wrote that Atlantis will reopen in several planned phases, as she insisted their highest priority is and will always be to ensure the health and safety of guests and staff. While the letter did not reveal a reopening date, Oswell also informed staff that the resort would operate in a COVID-free bubble. During his interview with Bloomberg, Flatt explained what that would mean.
We're going to test everyone when they arrive, and we're going to charter planes, and we're flying people in starting December 1. So we will be taking people there. They don't have to quarantine at all.
Going down.
When they come back, they'll quarantine. Or if they come from a place that doesn't need a quarantine, from a bubble-free COVID zone, because we're going to keep it that way with all the protocols in place.
Atlantis has been closed since March. The resort had intended to reopen on July 15th, but changed course as the United States, which accounts for 80% of the Bahamas' foreign visitors, experienced a significant spike in COVID-19 cases. Despite the extended closure, Flatt says he is optimistic about the planned December 1st reopening.
But I think during the winter time, we're going to have an amazing number of people that will want to come down there because there aren't that many options. And so we've negotiated this with the government, and that's allowed us to open up. So when I started off by saying every day it gets a little bit better, 3 months ago I couldn't have imagined that. 6 months ago we were shutting the place down. So we're now planning on opening it up so that we can bring people in, and we'll rotate 4,000 rooms of people with all the safety protocols, and they won't have to quarantine.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And that's a look at news. Marcellus Hall is up next with sports.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. all day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
In sports, boxer Reno Johnson with a disappointing end to his weekend bout. Marcellus Hall reports.
Well, it is indeed the first Monday of the month of November. That means we got a lot of weekend activities to get caught up on, starting with Reno Johnson stepping into the ring against Jaime Munguia in a middleweight bout that certainly was very, very interesting. Let's take a look. Toriano Johnson in the ring on Friday night. 35-year-old Johnson taking on Jaime Munguia in a middleweight bout. Things starting out well for Johnson, as in the first round he was able to dictate the tempo of the fight, scoring on a number of power shots. Second and third round, more of the same, as the two fighters exchanging blows on a number of occasions. Johnson would continue to be the aggressor in the fourth and the fifth, and was considered to be ahead on the scorecards going into the sixth. Sixth round, however, is when things would go wrong, as Munguia able to land an uppercut to the lip of Johnson. That opened up a huge cut. The referee forced to stop the bout after the bleeding unable to be stopped, Johnson losing by TKO. On to some football, where the NFL wraps up Week 8 tonight with Monday Night Football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Tom Brady, they'll travel to New York to face the New York Giants. Bucs second in the NFC East at 5-2. Giants 1-6. That's good for fourth in the NFC East. Let's take a look now at your Sunday NFL scoreboard. While it was a disappointing end for Toriano Johnson in his bout against Jaime Munguia, he's looking forward and optimistic about the future. Meanwhile, we'll give you all the details from tonight's Monday Night Football game coming up for you tomorrow. Until then, I'm Marcellus Hall for Our News.
And that's a look at news. We throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle. Our second look at weather. We take a look at our satellite picture across the area. Strong cold front moving into the northwest Bahamas, bringing some showers with it. High pressure behind that system will continue to generate some very strong winds across the area. That will continue through the rest of the evening. We also have Hurricane Zeta out there moving towards the west, moving into the Central America area by tonight. We will continue to monitor the system over the next couple of days. Your boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas. North to northeast winds 20 to 30 knots. We're asking you boaters to remain in port. Very rough seas 8 to 12 feet. While in the southeast Bahamas, northeast to east 15 to 20 knots. Seas 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. High tide will be at 8:48 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Saturday. That's a look at our weather. Have a safe night, everyone.
And now your Royal Fidelity Market Recap takes a look at today's markets.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by Royal Fidelity, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Well, thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a good Monday evening, Bahamas.